Hello, this is Inside the Press Box with Sunil Sunder Raj for the Everyday Fan Sports. I'm happy to be speaking with Mike Lane, the head coach of NJIT women's basketball. Coach Lane, again, thank you again for the opportunity, to speak with you today and talk about the upcoming 2021-22 regular season. Less than a month away from, the regular season home opener at the Wellness Event Center against Wagner. Said exciting times. Thank you again, Coach.
Sunil, it's great to be back with you, and we can't wait to have a regular season where you can be in the WEC, where our crowds can be in the WEC. We can have family and friends and classmates and opposing crowds. We missed out on that last year, but we really loved your coverage last year through that pandemic. It made it feel as normal as possible, which it didn't feel normal a lot. But just, being able to talk to you about our season and talking to our girls throughout the season, I thought was great for them to make it feel, as normal as it could, although it was over Zoom calls. Yeah. I can't wait for that to be in person. But I just want to thank you for your coverage of our sport.
Thank you for the kind words, Coach Lee. It means a lot to me. It said last year, first season in the America East Conference, it said, again, a young roster last year, but there were so many positives, and the fact that you were able to play in the America East, tournament against UMass Lowell gave them a really good run. Even though it ended up coming up short, but I think when you look back on last season, there were again, just so much to build off that, Coach Lane.
Yeah, there's definitely some benchmarks that we like. We didn't get to see the whole league. I think this year is truly the first year in the league. We didn't get to play Binghamton or UMBC or Albany, et cetera. So it felt like kind of just like a partial introduction to the league, but it was good to get our beaks wet, so to speak. And like you said, we had those 11 sophomores and freshmen. We were a very young team. We were in a lot of tight games. I thought we battled really well. I think that's the step we have to make this year is to win those games. I think the girls understand that. I think, we were disappointed in our performance up at UMass Lowell in the conference tournament. But again, it's like anything with a young team. It was a 6-point game with 6 minutes to go, and we were on the line. And, we got called for a free throw violation, which I might, if we watched it again, I'd like to see if that was actually a free throw violation. I watched it a couple times this summer. Yeah. And, we were cutting it to 5 there, but that point gets wiped off, and then they hit a 3 on the other end, and it's 9, and then we came down, didn't get a great possession. They hit another 3, it's 12, and, the wheels kind of came off. I thought, again, to be in a fourth quarter game on the road in a tournament where we didn't play a lot in February because so many games were wiped out. Yeah. Incredibly proud of the girls, but I think we're all we think we're better than that. And I think they've come back certainly energized and focused on improving that this year.
Can you talk about the journey, last season, beforehand, leading up to the opener, and then just, as you said, a very crazy schedule, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, playing, Saturday, Sunday games back to back. Again, and then games getting wiped out, a very challenging, year. But you guys, the assistant coaches, the coaching staff, and the players, did a fantastic job, as well as the athletics administration at NJIT, handling that, Coach Lane.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I probably said this last year a lot. It felt pretty normal, through the end of January. We were practicing, we were healthy, we were playing every weekend. The back-to-backs were different, but we certainly, kind of accommodated that schedule. Again, our administration was great in testing our girls. The school was great in terms of, kind of keeping them safe on campus. And we kind of got through it all. And then in February, just when unfortunately some other teams didn't get through it, we were just kind of left. That's when it felt really awkward. All of a sudden on Wednesday, we're finding out that we're not playing this week. And that's, I really credit the girls during that time, because it just didn't seem to faze them. Truly last year was a lesson in taking life day to day. I feel like coaches probably preach that a little bit, like, hey, got to get better today. Don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
But last year, you just really had to do that. And I think the girls did such a marvelous job at keeping that focus, not getting upset about the circumstances, not letting it, kind of wear us down. We weren't enthused going to testing, and certainly through your 4th or 5th month of doing that, it got old, but our girls just kind of really soldiered through that. Incredibly proud of them. And like you said, it was a complete effort. It was the school, it was our administration, it was our department, it was the conference. Even when those games got wiped out, the conference was working to try to find us a game. We found another game up in New Hampshire. And we were just happy. Like, okay, great, we're playing. We don't care. Give us a game. So we knew that it was just that type of year. It was a very different journey. I thought, and I think the girls learned a lot about themselves. Not only as collectively as a team, but I certainly think individually that they're gonna. I told them that all the time. When they're old like us. Their kids are going to be asking, what did you do during COVID? And they're going to be able to say, I played college basketball. It's not going to look like that in the history books, I don't think. And it's really an incredible accomplishment that we were able to have any type of season last year.
No, I agree. I'm wondering, when you walked off the court, said, up there at UMass Lowell, just what you were thinking at that time. Now here, 6-7 months later now, you're in your 4th season, as the head coach of NJIT, from where you built, you started out, it said here, and now up to this point here with this team now, it said you added some pieces now, said a couple of incoming freshmen, what your outlook, what your expectations, and how everything has been going here with training camp and with this roster, Coach Lane.
Yeah, incredibly excited for this season. Anytime you take over a program and you know that it's going to be a significant build. We knew that we didn't get that first recruiting class when we came in. It was we only had Sam Schultz as a freshman. We weren't able to really add to that class because we came in so late. So now we have 3 recruiting classes under our belt. So we're really excited about the roster. We have 17 kids. I think that's been an issue, although that's a very big roster. Women's basketball program, I think you're seeing that all across the country because of the COVID years and et cetera. But we've needed that. We are at a different institution. We are at a different school. We practice in the morning, so it's very hard for us to find male practice players. So we need a deeper roster to be able to compete against every day. And I think we have now. That's not a luxury that we had certainly in the first couple of years. Last year felt a little incomplete. I think that's the word that I go back to. We're really happy we had the season. Walking off that court, I think we thought we could have been better, which I thought was great. I think in other years, I don't know if we might have had that collective emotion in the locker room. I think there was a nice, just a nice level of disappointment in the locker room where we were like, hey, we didn't play our best here, show our best. I think we were building as a young team, as you always do through a season. You want to be better at the end. And we just really didn't get that chance to prove that in February. I think that's why we had maybe so much kind of loaded onto that UMass Lowell game that we really wanted to show how much we had grown and how much we had improved. For much of that game, we were right there in it. We weren't able to finish it. So, incredibly happy because I think we did make strides forward. But this is, we gotta get some wins. So now we're in year 4. We have 3 recruiting classes. We want to make some noise in this league. We want the WEC to be a hard place to come to and get a win. And we want people preparing for us like, oh man, we got to NJIT, this Wednesday. Like that's a tough team to play. And that's what we have to do.
You have that solid core, that nucleus in place here, diving into this roster. You look at the returning, a very important piece in bringing back Ellen Stoll, said, And then sophomore Lizzie Winkle. I mean, you talk about an incredible, freshman year with Lizzie. Said 8.4 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. Named to the all. I said America's, rookie team, and then rookie of the week 5 times, and then you also leading scorer Kenneth Squire. So I mean, you just start with those 3, but then of course you build off that. I mean, it's again, as you said, it's a deep roster, but it said you have the pieces in place. I mean, not to forget also Kimmy Evans, and then you can go with Lindsay Cyrek, Grace Plummer, Maddie Martin, Kennedy Cash, Ariel Myers, Kiana Bretnan. I mean, it's Kendall Dalrymple, Lily Anderson, Dani Evans. So, I mean, that's just now that they had that 1 year under of experience under their belt, coach. I mean, it's now here in their second year. It's I'm sure that you're good again expecting said bigger things from these players. Especially your top players here.
Yeah, and I've seen that. Like I said, I thought we practiced great last February. The season ended, all the girls went home. I thought we had a fantastic spring. April was very different than any April we've had on campus. We were really just because all those kids had gotten the experience. Yeah. So they were really just able to play. We didn't have the teaching was kind of done last April. Mm-hmm. We could really kind of sharpen iron a little bit. So I thought we had a great spring. We didn't have summer traditionally, what we would normally have in the summer. Mm-hmm. We brought it back early in August. And that was great, because it was just basketball for 2 weeks before they started class. And, certainly the leadership of Ellen and Maddie and Sam and Kimmy, those are our 4 oldest kids. They've been here the longest, listened to me the longest. I think they know, I feel is important. I think we're on the same page. They've been great. Yeah. They've had to be leaders. They're seniors. This is their club this year. This is their team. It's an incredible bonus. When we walked off the court up at Lowell, we did not think we'd have Ellen coming back. So that was, an incredible bonus to the program. Somebody with so much experience and somebody who's really grown her game from the first year that we've had her, from when she was a sophomore and she had to be the point guard. And that was a tough transition year for her, but it's just made her game better. So we're really relying on those seniors. And then again, all those freshmen and sophomores are a year older. Yeah. So now that junior class is much more experienced, obviously led by Kenna. Kendall is really healthy for the first time, maybe since we've had her, and has been a different player. Absolutely. In camp here before the season. And then Meety and Dani Evans and Kennedy Cash obviously round out that class. And Meety has gotten a lot of time. Dani has gotten a lot of time in that post position. And they're getting more mature as players, making better decisions. That's something we talk to them about all the time. Yeah. Kennedy's actually making a little bit of a position switch. Okay. We basically had her on most of the point guards defensively anyway. She's our best one-on-one defender. So we actually moved her over to that unit, which made a little bit more sense. So I think that's going to fit her game a little bit more. She played a lot of point guard in high school, so I think that's going to be a good change for kind of her last 2 years. And then you go right into those sophomores. Obviously, we had some really great performances last year out of those guys. Yeah. Lily started at the post. Kiana started in the post. We only saw Lindsay a couple games, but certainly showed her promise. And then obviously those guards, Aria, Grace, and Lizzie really made an impact. I think Aria has had a great preseason. She's really very hungry to make an impact. And she was a little snake bit with some injury last year, so we didn't see maybe the best of her. So I'm really excited for her to show her game out. And then obviously the 2 freshmen, Trinity and Reese, really excited. But they give us a little bit more athleticism at both those spots and have really stepped right in. And that's been a luxury. We've got half the roster being new, and so just have 2 young players that might be having to learn the system has been great for our program.
It's terrific. I wanted to ask you about the America East Conference itself. Looking back at last season, top teams were Maine, Stony Brook, and UMass Lowell. Stony Brook ended up winning the America East tournament. It said looking at the schedule, as well. I mean, you're not shying away from, playing, the elite teams. I mean, you're, Big Ten, Big East. I mean, Marquette in Wisconsin after you open up against Wagner, Coach Lane, playing the MAC, the Patriot League. You have LIU, Central Connecticut State, FDU, St. Peter's, Rider, Lafayette, Monmouth, and St. Francis, Brooklyn, before you open up against. And that's a daunting schedule with that America East, the conference, you open up against Stony Brook and then followed by Maine and UMass Lowell, even though 2 out of the 3 games are at the WEC. But just had to ask you what your impressions are of the conference, let's, starting first with the America East.
Yeah, it's going to be hard because it's hard to know who's all coming back. I mean, I've looked at rosters and it looks like a lot of teams are basically the same. Obviously, Stony Brook had a big defection, not only their coaching staff, but their point guard Dingle transferred to Fordham, so that will change that, but they're very good. And all those other kids that last year that got them to the NCAA tournament are there. And so their front court is very strong and very big, and we have to be able to battle against that. We didn't do so well last year when we played them, certainly the second time. I thought we did a better job Saturday against them instead of Sunday. Maine is the type of program that just reloads. I know she lost a lot, but we know some of those kids on their bench, and we know that they're going to be good. So although they lose, Dar and Blanca, who were huge players in our league for so long, nobody's looking past me. That's for sure. There's still power. We're going to have to be ready to play. And again, UMass Lowell, certainly lost their coach as well, but not a lot from that roster. So those top 3 teams really still should be the top 3 teams, unless some of us can make a jump up. And then, like I said, we didn't really see, we never really saw Albany. We didn't see Binghamton. We didn't see UMBC. So, really just on film when we were looking at kind of the other teams. So we got to get a better eye on them. And then, obviously, Hartford and Vermont we did see, and New Hampshire and whatnot. So, it's I think these leagues all the time, it's a 5-point game with 5 minutes left or somewhere in that orbit. That's what conference basketball is. You're lucky when you can, and fortunate when you can get a better win than that. But oftentimes it's going to be a drag out affair, and you got to be able to execute all game, and you got to be able to execute at the end of the game against very good teams. But I do think our preseason or our out of conference season schedule should prepare us for the America East. Obviously, going out to play Marquette in Wisconsin is a huge task, but I think that'll be a lot of fun to play teams to that. And obviously, we saw if you win the America East, you're going to have to play a team like that in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Yeah. So there is a little bit of the method to the madness there, just so that's not going to be such a strange feeling to play a Power 5 team like that. So, we love to play teams like that, give our girls that experience, and hopefully help them for that day when we are in the tournament.
That's great. I didn't want to forget, of course, about your coaching staff. So one of the best out there, said Tanya Watson, Aaron Gretsch, Sarah Mitchell. Just want to talk about, how important that is, of course, during, not only preparing for a season, but during the course of it as well, Coach Lane.
Yeah, I have been incredibly fortunate from day one. These guys are the staff that I wanted here, and now we go into our 4th year, and we're all together. And it's I know I said this word already in this interview, but the luxury of having a staff that what they're doing. You know that they can do whether it's an individual workout, whether it's film, like they know what we're doing with our players. We know what we want them to be able to do. And I can just kind of give those guys, kind of an open check. Like, hey, you got it. Take your position group, make them better. I don't have to, micromanage any of that. Certainly they know that I'm always chirping in with my 2 cents, and the girls know that I'm going to do that as well. But to have the experience of LaTanya, to have Sarah and Aaron and Anissa as my director of operations, we're incredibly lucky, and I think the girls understand that. But just the stability of our staff and our roster is something that we hope, we can leverage into some improvement. Because we have the same roster that we had last year, plus 2 kids, and then we have the same staff. And just having that synergy, I think, between staff and roster, I'm hoping that we can find a couple wins because of that.
Yeah, I mean, first-class facilities, as I said, at the WEC, and then with strength and conditioning. Don't want to forget about, Bobby Fiston, Stephanie Polari, Assistant Athletics Director for Media Relations and Digital Strategy. Athletic Director Lenny Kaplan, Peg Heffron, Assistant Director of Athletics or Administration and Student Athlete Services, and President Dr. Joel Bloom. And I said, just a really impressive, again, just, I mean, you talk about, the staff, the administration from top to bottom, said is, in place there. Can you talk about just the support from all those people, Coach Lane?
Yeah, and we also have to mention our training staff because it's the longest season, and everybody down in that training room. Obviously, Ariana is our main trainer, but Matt Koches and his whole team on there, Katie Rose and everybody. Our girls get to know that training room very well, and they need to. Sometimes people get scared of the training room, like, hey, I don't want to be in there, which I get. On the practice floor, but it's hard to go through a season. It's hard to go through a career without really relying on that training staff. And like you said, you're exactly right. We have a first-rate facility. We have a first-rate department. We have first-rate administration. We just had our Hall of Fame dinner this weekend, and it was really amazing to hear the stories of what NJIT used to be. And everybody's so proud of what President Bloom and Lenny have built, and having that vision, and that's real. These people come back and they can't believe the building that they have, now that these athletes have. And we have a taste of that because Maddie and Ellen were in the old facility when they were freshmen. I really love that there's still 2 kids on our roster who kind of knew what it was like before, and we've really grown from some humble roots. We are still growing. We have a lot to do, but we have incredible support across campus, which is just a great feeling as a coach. You know that strong foundation behind you, and they're always so supportive. And that's a great place to operate from.
Another critical component, Coach Lean, is the role of being a student athlete. And, I said at NJIT, the demands are very high. I mean, that's, again, the expectations. And, it said these players have a lot, said to handle, but they've done a great job of time management and being organized. Can you just, speak to that as well?
Yeah, that's absolutely the first bar that we have to clear in the recruiting process. This is a different place. We're very unique in many ways, but the academic portion of that is absolutely a priority. We need to find the right students that can handle the rigor of NJIT on a daily basis, and that does eliminate a lot of kids from the recruiting tree. So we got to find the kids on the right branches that understand what this institution is, what it will do to you every day, and what that's going to help you with down the road. This truly is a 40-year type of decision place that you're going to come here, you are going to work hard for a degree, it's going to mean something, and it has incredible value in the marketplace, whether you're going to grad school, whether you're going into the business world, wherever you're going after your 4 years here with us. We've seen that NJIT degree continue to grow in value, in prestige, and that's absolutely who we're looking for sure. And then because we're doing that right in the recruiting process, I think the kids come here and they know what to expect. I think we're not sugarcoating it in any way. We're finding those kids that want that challenge, and they want the challenge on and off the court because they want to better themselves, and that makes it really easy. To be honest, as a coach, you're getting motivated, disciplined, student athletes from the start. And so I don't have to worry about them a whole lot. Obviously, they're still teenagers and young adults, but I love working at a place like this that they can attract these types of people that are just going to make an incredible impact in their communities once they leave NJIT. So it's a true joy to find those kids and to get them here and to coach them every day.
Yeah. I did the final two questions I had. First, it just popped into my head, the growth of women's basketball, women's college basketball, especially, here, in New Jersey, the Garden, aka the Garden State, but across, nationally. I had to ask you about that, just how you've seen it, now grow over the years. I mean, you've been involved in it for so long, Coach Lane. Just if you want to just talk about that as well.
Yeah, well, I think you can, last night, the WNBA finals are on ESPN in prime time, the first story on SportsCenter. That didn't happen when I was 20 years old. That's not what it was like. Now I grew up, 20 minutes from UConn's campus. So I was very much, I was in that orbit of women's basketball. My mother was a season ticket holder to UConn women's basketball. We went to the UConn men's games. I'll admit, I didn't go to a lot of those women's games when I was young. I was going to the boys' games much more. But it was certainly on our radar, and to actually, kind of really watch Gino build that program from something you didn't even know about, and it was right in my backyard. I think that opened my eyes tremendously. And then obviously I attended a school that also puts a lot of value on women's basketball at Notre Dame. It was a big deal as well there. And a shout out to Skylar Diggins in the game clinching bucket last night. So I've been around it, and to see these sports or this sport really get embraced, like women's basketball, both the WNBA and I think college basketball on Twitter, they've really found their audience there. They've done a really great job, like on social media. They've grown the sport. They're trying to show that the sport is delivering, really kind of the measurables that maybe the business community wants to see, but they are getting eyeballs. It's a great competitive sport. We are a different sport. It's not played above the rim a whole lot. Griner did get it dunked down last night. This is not going to be the game a whole lot. And I think a lot of people really appreciate it because I think it's closer to the game that they played, both male or female audience there. It's closer. I didn't play above the rim, so it's passing, it's cutting, it's that teamwork. I that's always been something that people have pointed to as kind of the reputation of women's college basketball. And I think that's what we're trying to build as well. So, the sport still has a long way to go. There were some equity issues, obviously last year that we saw last spring between the Final Four of the men and the women. It's good that, we're getting a voice, and that voice is being heard, and we think that changes are going to be made. That didn't happen 2 years ago, that wouldn't even been heard. So, there's growth every day in it. I think most especially we have to get our student athletes involved in the growth of the sport. I kind of try to tell my players, whether it's been here at NJIT, at Bucknell, at Dominican, at the University of Chicago, you guys need to coach the sport. You've played it at a level of expertise in college, whether that's D3, D2, or D1. You know what you're doing. You have to hand off this gift to the next generation. We need to see more young women coaching, whether that's in the industry or just in their community. I think that's something that we need to see more of. As a male in women's basketball, I understand that. I see it. I see a lot of males coaching women's basketball. And I know there should be more females coaching basketball. And hopefully this generation has grown up differently. Because they've seen the WNBA on TV all the time. They've seen the tournament on TV all the time and getting a lot of eyeballs and a lot of exposure and attention. And I think we can keep this thing growing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many platforms now that you can watch the game, which is just, outstanding. So again, it said not only here, we're talking about in the United States, but also, of course, globally as well, which is just, just fantastic. I'm wondering, every year is a new season, new opportunity. I was wondering, as a head coach, the it's 24/7, 365. I mean, but trying to balance that out between, it said coaching and family. I'm wondering, just how you do it. I mean, what, again, it's, you're always looking forward to, again, November 9th, that regular season home opener, but just how you're able to, again, just do it. I mean, it's not easy, Coach Lane.
No, I think it's really just when you find what you like to do with the people that you like to do it. That part of the equation. I mean, a lot of people ask that question.
Yeah.
You're not alone. People ask that question all the time. Like,
Yeah.
how can you do this? How can you go do that? How going to open gyms and watching high school games and recruiting and on the phone. And we have a lot to do, and obviously just training our own team. But it goes back to that. I love what I do. I love the people I do it with. What more could you ask for? And that's what I want our young people on our team to find in their lives, right? Find that thing that you just love to do, and it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like it's an obligation. It doesn't feel like a burden. It makes you be able to persevere through anything, through a pandemic, through 12 games getting canceled. It just, okay, we still get to practice tomorrow. That's fine. So it just doesn't matter. It just brings me great joy. I think that's what it is. It obviously brings me a lot of sorrow. That's the tough part of sport, is that there's a winner and a loser, and it never feels great in that locker room, because you feel like you let your charges down. But when they come back that next day and they're coming through the door and they're all hyped up for practice, it's pretty easy to be like, oh yeah, okay, here we go. Let's roll the ball back out. Let's go to work. And it's an easy thing, to be honest. It's hard.
Well, you became, I almost skipped over this. You were the first athletic program, said for NJIT to win an America East game last year. That when you look back, said now and then even years down the line, that's something you got to be, definitely proud of. That's going to bring a smile to your face always, Coach Lane.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, that was a great moment. I think we knew that going into that game. This was the first American competition. Our girls put a lot of importance on that. And that was a very proud locker room, not just because of the victory, but it was kind of planting our flag in the league, in this conference that we've, wanted to be in. We think we found the right home, and we can't wait to become a power in all our sports in the Americas.
Okay, you have the last word, Coach Lane, on with students, alumni, fans, not only here in New Jersey, but across the nation. It said Tuesday, November 9th, said against Wagner. So I'll let you, again, speak on that.
Yeah, well, we can't wait. Like I started with, we can't wait to get people in our crowd and people just back into the WEC. Sport does not feel right with nobody in the stands. That was probably the oddest thing. It was really nice because I didn't have to lose my voice every game trying to yell over the din. But we can't wait to get our fans, to get our families, to get our friends back watching us. That's just something that was a hole we couldn't fill. Certainly we had the placards in the arena with the familiar faces, but there's nothing like, these kids, I know, nothing like having their parents or their friends or families there, us having our alumni coming back to watch, the people on campus, our students. That's what we want. And nobody has an excuse. Get vaccinated, get a mask, come out to the WEC, enjoy a night of basketball, and that's what we want everyone to do. So no excuses this year. Let's have some fun. Let's get everybody in the building and roll Tech.
Sounds good. Coach Lane, said again, a true honor and privilege, interviewing you. Thank you so much, said again for the opportunity to talk about the upcoming, said 2021-22 NJIT women's basketball, said regular season, and wishing you, the rest of the coaching staff and players all the best this season.
Thanks, Sunil. Like I said, we appreciate your support, and we can't wait to meet you in person.
Sounds good. Thank you.